Greetings and welcome to a bit of a Let's Talk. I haven't done one of these in a long time, and I'm choosing to do this with a survival world in the background just so there's kind of something going on for you to look at while I talk. But the topic of this chat is the state of Minecraft map making. Oh, love the tutorials. The state of Minecraft map making, specifically on the Java edition of Minecraft in June, late June, 2017. Now, before I go into this, I guess what I'll say is this content is not going to appeal to everyone unless you just like the sound of my voice. But I'm really putting this out there for current map makers, people who really like to play maps and therefore might get a little something out of this in the background, and prospective map makers who just feel like they want to get into this crazy thing we call map making, or perhaps have been afraid to get into it because you're not sure what you want to do. Maybe you'll get inspiration from this. There is also a possibility that you will get discouraged from what I have to say. But I want to first of all say that while some of my perspectives are going to come off a bit negative, my intention is actually to be encouraging to map makers. So all the points that I come across today, I've tried to note down a tip that I can give you to take what I have to say and either flip it and make it positive, or just something you yourself can do. Now, also before I begin, I think I need to credentialize myself, and I'm going to do this in reverse order, which is to say that I have only recently come back into the Minecraft scene. And by scene, what I mean is the map making scene and to some degree the survival playing scene. But I have spent the better part of 6.5 to 7 years with this game. And I've put out a lot of maps in a lot of different formats. I've done a lot of different map related challenges, contests. I've hosted multiplayer servers and survival, multiplayer map making competitions, and all kind of good stuff like that. I've spoke at Minecon, and I regularly liaison and chat with a very wide group, in fact, of map makers who have all been successful and contributed to their maps in various ways. And I've also reviewed formally and to some degree informally and provided constructive feedback and criticism to over 2,000 maps, close to 2,500 if you count several hundred maps that I did for a 60-minute map series. So that's about me. If you're watching this, you probably know that, but whatever. Some of you may have forgotten me because I did take a break from the game for about a year, for various reasons. One of them just being that after doing something extremely intensely for an extended period of time, sometimes you need a break. But let's get into the actual point. So I've kind of come up with a couple different aspects of map making that I think were important to share. It's not an exhaustive list, and if you think of something I've forgotten or you have a reply to one or more of my points, I would love to hear it. I don't care who you are, if you're a map maker, map player, or a complete noob to Minecraft maps. I would love to just get your perspective. And I think other people in the comments or other map makers that I'm pretty sure are going to watch this, a select group at least, may benefit from the discussion. All right, so I'm going to start with an easy one, and that is the topic of story in a Minecraft map. Now, as far as I can tell, from the first days of Minecraft map making in 2010 to today, 2017, this is the one constant that has not changed, and in my opinion should be the heart of your map the story. Now, if you're doing a PvP map, your story is the combat between players. If you're doing a survival map, then your player is probably bringing the story, and you're creating the world and the rule set in which that story takes place. But story is still the key. That's why we play games, is to experience stories. So this does not only apply to strict adventure, quote-unquote, maps, but honestly is relevant to any map. Puzzle map, the story is how your player interprets the rules, discovers the path to the solution, and then eventually gets to that solution in your puzzle. That is the story that I'm talking about. So just want to get that clear as well. So that hasn't changed. No matter how fancy, how many blocks they add to this game, all of that stuff, the raw ability to convey an experience or a story in Minecraft has not changed. So that is my first statement. And that's pretty cool. I mean, you wouldn't expect it to change. I think if you look back through the history of Minecraft maps, there are tons and tons of new stories and new types of stories and new ways to tell stories every time somebody releases a new map. And then there's a bunch of tried and true ways. What my tip is for you is that when you think of the map you want to create, find the one core theme, feeling, emotion, moral. What is the one most important thing you want to cut across to the player? Again, if it's not a story, if it's a puzzle map, do you want them to have a challenging logic puzzle, or is it a challenging physical puzzle? What's the one thing? What is your one sentence? Hey, wait a minute. What is your one sentence that you want the player to experience? And then you can start building your map, but you need to digest that theme statement, if you will. Let it roll over in your mind for a couple days. Sleep on it. Wow. You know, don't feel that you need to rush in, although there is some value in striking while the iron's hot in terms of taking your map and getting the momentum rolling. So build some stuff, and then when you go to school, or when you go to work, or when you're going to bed and you're not in front of Minecraft, think about what you're creating. I think this is one of probably the most important tips that I'll give in this whole series, is your Minecraft map making doesn't only happen while you're building your map, hopefully. In fact, if it does, I would say you're missing out on some very important stuff. You're a smart person. Your brain is incredibly powerful, and if you set it to a task, it can do that task without needing you to be trained or have like a high intellect or whatever. 91, I believe it is, percent of all the activities that happen in your body on a day-to-day, minute-to-minute basis happen unconsciously. You don't really think about breathing, about your blood going through as your heart is beating, etc. And your brain can do a lot of things when you're not telling it to. So think of your one theme and then give your brain permission to just kind of dwell on it, roll it around. And what I want you to do, the goal of this, is to kind of find the vibe of that one emotion, theme, etc. This could sound kind of corny, but if it happens for you, you'll know it. So perhaps your vibe is a color. Perhaps it's an emotion. You want your player to feel sad. And so in order to do that, you first need to make them feel happy and then take something away. Whatever your vibe is, get that feeling for what that means in the one critical scene that you want in your map. And then let your map design spill out from that perspective. And each new scene that you add, either before or after your one main scene, ask yourself, does it have that vibe? Does it feel like a natural progression from the start of your map to the end of your map through the point and emotion that you want your player to feel? That is not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of practice. But stepping back and just kind of asking yourself, like, okay, does this fit within my map is going to help you quite a bit, and will in fact help you with a lot of other creative endeavors in life as well. All right, so that's the first one, and I don't know how long this video is going to go, by the way. The second thing that I want to talk about are the tools that you have at your disposal to create your map. Now, I'm going to focus on the obvious tools here, which are things like command blocks, commands in Minecraft, things that things that the game developers have given you over the years, the blocks that you have available, redstone, etc. You get the idea, right? Minecraft over the years has certainly become more and more complex and has provided more and more tools, especially since about 2013, which is a whole different discussion, for making maps. And I think that as tools have been added to the game, and I'm going to actually include things like MC Edit filters, and in fact MC Edit itself, and various mods that the community has put out. Minecraft has always been known as a game that doesn't come with an instruction manual. And as the tool set has become more and more complex and have more and more options, I feel that it has become more and more unintuitive, and in fact a lot harder to start, simply because of the vast amount of stuff that's out there, and the fact that, frankly, commands and the way you access commands, and all the way up to the new function command, is somewhat unintuitive. Map makers, a select group of map makers, currently look at things as though this is a coding platform, which it's not. It's a game within a game, and you're getting some ability to script elements of the game or change elements of the game. But things like /game rule and then a set of commands or game rules which are sort of strangely formatted, or the interesting naming conventions that they use, or command structures, some of these things are pretty hard to get. So you have more tools, but frankly they're harder to use. And I honestly feel like if you're a map maker, before you try to master all of these tools we have, you need to start simple, master the ability to play the game, master the feeling of breaking blocks, walking around a Minecraft world, walking around in other people's maps, and really kind of understand the game. So let's assume that everybody watching this understands the game, right? Let's go into that second part of what I said, which is don't try to use every single tool in your map, in your first map that you make. Don't try to include every possible command. Set a goal, set a theme, and once you've kind of gotten those mechanics working, put your map out there, and then in your next map, you can add a few more things to your toolbox. Some people really like to just do what I call scope creep, which is add more and more and more to your map because it's cool. And again, does it carry the same vibe? And can you pull it off in a very professional, clean manner? Or are you just throwing all kinds of stuff at the wall and ultimately going to overload or confuse the player. So don't feel like you need to learn every tool at once. Tools are also very hard to find. So how do I use this new command or NBT tag? Or what is an NBT tag? Unfortunately, there are a lot of tutorials out there, and there are a lot of things on older versions of Minecraft that no longer work, but they're hard to search for unless you know the names of particular redstone contraptions. You may not even know how to search for them. If you want to accomplish, let's say you want to make a door that locks with a 6-digit lock, that can actually be a lot harder to search for on YouTube, for example, than you would think, because people call it all different sorts of things. So tools are there. They've become more complex, and in some ways, I think they have become disconnected from the simplicity of the game itself, from simple blocks and simple redstone. So you will see me a lot of times trying to go back to basics, if you will, and incorporate some simple practical effects. I liken it to making a movie where you have some movies that are very heavily CGI and you can tell, and some movies that rely on practical effects that just are impressive in and of the fact that they are practical effects. So pick the few things that you want to become an expert in, become an expert, publish a map, and then add to your toolbox over time. Don't try to bite off more tools than you can chew. That's probably my tip for this topic. Okay, next topic is the scope and investment in map making. Now, there has always been since day one, and I think this applies to even more than just Minecraft map making. There's always been this misperception that bigger equals better, or that more somehow is better. I'm here to tell you it's simply not true. And in fact, when you're talking about a Minecraft map, you want your player to stay engaged and interested long enough to experience everything that you've worked hard to put in the map. So the more scope and the more time you put into a map, you have to ask yourself, can you hold the player's interest longer and longer? And you might say, well, if I make it interesting, then yeah, the player will stay. There's a fatigue. If there's too much cool stuff happening in your map, the player is going to start to expect it and miss the story and just be looking for the cool stuff. I'm not saying not to make a big long map. Everybody wants to make their epic story, and this may be the one time you ever create a Minecraft map, so it's got to be amazing. But just keep in mind that there's only a small portion of the audience that's looking for an epic adventure. I'll also say that bigger does not equal better, and this has been more than proven through a series called 60-Minute Maps. This was started by Rockabilly and CDF Demand. This was continued by myself and now is being championed by Hawkminer. And basically the idea is to start and develop an entire map in only 60 minutes. That may sound insane, but again, if you go back to my first point, the story bit, and focus, you're only going to have enough time in 60 minutes to focus on one thing, one piece of one special effect, one major story arc, right? And in 60 minutes, you can build it. It may not look like the most amazing, gigantic cathedral and city, but you can build enough in 60 minutes to get your story across. You can build enough story. You can build a redstone contraption, a command block contraption. You can do it in 60 minutes. And I would so I've probably played something like 300 60-minute maps. And I can tell you with 100% certainty, within my small group of friends, Minecraft map makers, they have probably created another 56 maps in only 60 minutes that I have not played. And further, the broad community of 60-minute map makers has, in Hawk Miner's ongoing competitions, has probably created another easily 100, if not 200 maps in only 60 minutes or less. And I would take, let's say, 25%. I'm probably under guessing this. At least 25% of those maps, I would say, are better than the majority of maps you can download from the forums at any point in time. So you can do more in less time if you have the right focus, you know your tools, and you maximize your tools, and some other things I'm going to talk about next. So bigger does not always equal better. Okay, and these topics, by the way, are ones that have come up recently in various conversations that I've been in with my mapmaker friends on Discords, podcasts, comments, emails, sitting over dinner and bitching about the good old days and what has become of Minecraft. So these are all relevant topics, at least in the circle that I go in. Okay, so the next one is teams. So teams have become more popular and more the norm over the past 2-3 years of Minecraft. There's always been teams. There's always been solo builders. There always will be. But some people think that in order to make a good map, you have to have a team. All I can really say about this is that if you have a well-structured team of people who each have a very clear role and are invested in their portion of your map, then you can find success. If you have a team that is poorly structured, then your map will be worse. And when I say worse, I don't necessarily mean the quality of the map, but the experience you have while making that map is going to be worse than if you would have just done it solo. So all I'm gonna say here is that if you want to build a map in a team, you need to very clearly define what each person's role is, or what role they're willing to take on, and there needs to be one of those roles needs to be the project manager. When I say a role, I don't necessarily mean each person has one role. One person can have multiple roles in a team based on their strengths and their availability and all that good stuff. But you overall need one person to set the vision and... Oh, why am I going down? You need one person to set the vision and be able to manage the project and keep everyone moving and make decisions and not be afraid to say, no, your idea is good, but we're not going to use it in this particular map for the following reasons. You need a overall manager. You need builders. I mean, this should be obvious. There are teams that have people that just build visuals and don't do any kind of mechanics or story. There are teams where the builders also do other things. There's no right or wrong way. But what I'm saying is that you at least need to know who is the builder. And building doesn't even have to be gigantic cathedrals with ornate structure. It can be simple builds in Minecraft maps can be very effective if they support your theme. Okay, so you need builders. You need somebody who's focused on mechanics. That could be command blocks, could be redstone, it could be pressure plates, whatever your mechanics are. Could be that you don't add any actual mechanics, but your mechanics are conveyed to the player through text in a book that gives you challenges the player has to solve. But you need somebody focused on what are the mechanics in the map. One person focused on that story or feeling, and then you need somebody who's willing to test the map and put their preconceptions aside and try to play it as if they don't know the design. You need testers, and then you need the project manager that I already talked about. Okay, we're about halfway through, a little more than halfway through here. The next one is outside of your control, but within your influence, and that is your audience. So, there's two types of audience. One is the people who play your maps. That is the most obvious audience that you have, right? But there are actually a couple other kinds of audiences. There are the audiences who promote your map to other potential players. There are people who watch people play your map, let's say on YouTube or Twitch, who are your audience secondhand. They're the audience of the person playing, but they're watching your map, and therefore, by word of mouth, can actually help spread your map to other players, or not. Or maybe be motivated to try it themselves, or not. Now, I think it should be of no surprise that my opinion, and I believe there's facts out there, but I can't quote them, is that the Minecraft as a whole audience has become younger or worn out. The folks who started Minecraft back in 2010 were older, or were teens who are now older, and either have just burnt out on the game, or moved on to other games and come back every once in a while. But the core audience is definitely younger kids, and you can see that in Microsoft's direction to make the PE version the lead called Minecraft, and now Java Edition has sort of been has stepped down from being the quote unquote flagship, if you will. It's just the nature of what we're dealing with, right? That's a whole other topic we can get into. So players are younger, or they're getting worn out, and I think a lot of people who are new and coming to Minecraft, particularly if they're just starting with the Java edition and they've never played on the other editions, they don't know where to look for maps, frankly. If you go to the Minecraft forum and you try to find the map subsection and then try to read it blindly, like, it is not easy to find a good map. Also, sites like Minecraft Maps and, so I'll stick with that one, are great, but there's so many other fake Minecraft map sites that are just out there to suck your blood dry and cash in on banner ads, or trick you into getting a virus on your computer. It's so unfortunate and unbelievable and ridiculous, but it's true. It's very hard to find good maps. Now, I personally think there are not as many good maps out there, but that's besides the point. Finding good maps is pretty darn hard. And the quote-unquote big YouTubers, for the most part, have moved on from the game. For various different reasons, whether it's the growth of their channel or just their own, interest in the game, they've moved on. There are a few channels still playing maps frequently, and I've been doing some research on those and reaching out to folks that I used to chat with, some of the big YouTubers that used to play a lot of maps, and kind of rekindling some relationships and just getting perspectives. But most people have moved on. So your map isn't getting out there because it's not getting played as much, because it's not getting found by as many people, etc., etc. So your audience is really more than just somebody who's already downloaded your map. In fact, I would say the conversion rate from people who become aware of your map is smaller, and then the conversion rate of people who are aware of your map to people actually playing your map is minuscule. It's just the way it is. The other thing that's interesting is over the last, I would say, 3 to 4 years, although it's certainly in full swing, is that many content creators have switched from YouTube to streaming services. either because it's more convenient, they don't have to edit, or because they like that real-time fan reaction, etc., etc. So what's the big difference to map makers? Well, if somebody plays your map on YouTube, it's going to get suggested in other videos. It's going to be searchable. If somebody plays your map on Twitch, as far as I know, there's almost no way that anyone will ever see that stream unless they watched it live, or that they're catching up on recent streams maybe a few days afterwards. But for all intents and purposes, it seems like once you've streamed a map, it's pretty much over, and I think it's very, very hard for anyone to see or find that map again. So what can you do about this? Well, first of all, just be aware of your audience. Set your expectations low, and you won't be disappointed. Well, if you have low expectations, why would you get into this business? It's a good question. It's a very good question. But practically speaking, what can you do? Put your map out there. Make it and put it out there. And have a targeted small group in mind that is your audience that you want to play it. Your personal friends, maybe somebody you've met in the Minecraft community, whatever it is. Anticipate that you're going to have a limited audience, and then when your audience grows beyond your expectations, you'll be very happy. Where should you put it out there? I'm going to give you the 3 places that I am currently aware of, and this will be the first time in the 6-point-something years that I am not recommending you put your map on the Minecraft forums. Now, I'm actually going to tell you, put your map out there, put it out there everywhere, put it on Planet Minecraft, put it on the forums, because you never know who's watching. Put it on your YouTube channel as a trailer, tweet about it. However, I think the best return on your time, if you only have enough time to do 1 or 2 things to promote it, if you're not interested in really promoting your map actively, the best thing you can probably do is submit it to minecraftmaps.com. It's a curated site which doesn't put out garbage, or at least tries to limit that by curating and trying out the maps. You have to have a picture, and you have to have a decent description, and it's a good solid place to find maps, and therefore I have to think it's one of the better places to host your maps at this time. And I avoided them for a long time, mainly just because I didn't want to host in multiple places and have to maintain multiple versions when I put out updates. And I'm a very loyal person, so I stuck with what I knew. And I happened to have had one of the most visited threads on the Minecraft forums, so I knew that place would get me more attention than Minecraft Maps. But I would say put your map on minecraftmaps.com. The second thing I would say is you should be aware of a Twitter account called MapMakingMag, which is a online magazine that is edited and written and curated by the Minecraft community, with a small group of folks who kind of lead the charge there. And if you tweet your map to them, they will take a look at it, and if they think it's of any merit at all, they will retweet it. And they have a pretty good audience, pretty good following, including myself, and they will just get some awareness out there for your map. And the next thing I would say is there is a Reddit subreddit called r/Minecraft Maps. It never took off the way that I think we were hoping it would. However, I guess what I should say is there's more people watching it than posting. So again, it's very simple to post there, and you may get some exposure. But the first 2 are definitely the recommended places, if you ask me. All right. So talked about a bunch of topics. I've got 2 more. I'm going to try to make these quick because I actually have to leave for an appointment. So, source of income versus art. If you're map making will not make you a famous YouTuber. I'm just going to go through these points and I'm not actually going to explain them. But let me know if you want to talk about them another time. And in order to make money for the average map maker, you actually need to trick your audience into making you money via things like AdFly, banner ads, or points programs on the site that you're hosting on. Creating a map and putting it out there is not a direct source of income. Okay? And there are opportunities for commissions. They do exist. They're nowhere near as plentiful as they were a couple years ago before the whole EULA thing. They do exist, but you have to have a really good portfolio and you have to know how to engage on a professional level, and you have to know about NDAs and contracts, and it's not for everybody. So yeah, maybe one day you'll get an opportunity for commission, but that really shouldn't be your goal. I'll also say that the boom, the map boom, kind of like the .com boom, the bubble has burst. 2011 to 2013 were the prime map making years, and there have been amazing successful maps after that, but playing maps has it's just gone away a bit. So again, if you're in it for the art, that is the best way that you can be into Minecraft map making. If you're in it for the money, I mean, I'm sorry, that's like saying that you want to be a Hollywood script writer and you have never written anything in your life. It's hard. And there's not really any good payoff for it. So you got to go in with low expectations. Put your map out there, squeeze out whatever you can get, but don't do it for the money. And by the way, be grateful for anything you get. Up until Minecraft, I mean, I've had many, many, many hobbies in my lifetime. All of them cost money to get into in various amounts, and if it's a hobby, it's not paying you back. So if you do get anything out of this hobby, then you should be very grateful. Last tip, and this one doesn't actually have like a state of Minecraft tied to it. I'm going straight to the tip. Find a mentor. Find another map maker whose stuff you like, who can look at your stuff and give you practical advice, help you out, maybe team up with you in some way or fashion. I cannot tell you enough how valuable my Minecraft mentors have been over the years. Now, it's not easy, okay? You can go on a Discord or a forum, and you can try to get introduced to other map makers. But a lot of times the discussion there goes so off topic and goes by very quick and ends up just being sort of a few squeaky wheels dominating the conversation. And if there is something important being said, it's scrolling by so fast, and if you didn't happen to be online, you miss it, and 2 days later you go look at the discussion. I don't recommend finding your mentors there. What you should do, you don't approach somebody with an empty hand and say, hey, I want to become your Minecraft friend. Create something, create a map, and put it out there. Show it to them. Send them a tweet. Hey, I really like your stuff. Here's a map that I made. Don't be pushy. If you don't get a reply, that's fine. Just, put it out there. Or comment on their stuff. Play their stuff. Give them some feedback. Ask them a question. Hey, I really like this. How did you do this? Or how did you think of this? Or what inspires you? People like to talk about themselves. And so give them a reason to reply to you, either by seeing your stuff and appreciating it, or by answering your question, or responding to your thanks. And if they don't seem to if they don't seem to get it, don't pester them. You kind of have one shot at making your pitch as attractive as possible and then striking a chord in a relationship. And if it doesn't work, then move on and go to someone else. Watch their videos, comment constructively and consistently. You know, that's how you get people's attention in this business and how you can make a mentor. And above all, appreciate their time. And again, demonstrate that you're in this for the art and that you can help their Minecraft experience, and you're not in this to just make a buck off of them. I think that's one of the most important things is kind of just don't be a goober. So that's it. That's kind of my roundabout rant on the state of Minecraft map making. Hopefully encouraging and giving some tips to prospective map makers. You know, I really, really enjoy this hobby. I have enjoyed it for quite a long time, and I have gotten a lot out of it myself. And I do wish you the best of luck in your Minecraft adventures. Cheers.